Welcome to Rav Avshi Weingot. I'm absolutely delighted to have you at our podcast. It's been many months that I've been asking for you to join us, and with your traveling and busyness, I'm so pleased that you can actually finally engage with this podcast.
Thank you. It's an honor and a pleasure, and this place is very special. The Al Shul. The feeling here is very holy, and it's a big zchut.
Amen. So I'd love to hear a little bit about what you're up to, what you've been doing. I know you've been busy doing a fantastic video, which I absolutely love. Would you tell us a little bit about that and what else you've been up to?
So I was born and raised here in Tzfat, and surrounded by spirituality. And at this time in the world, spirituality has a very deep value. People are searching all over the world. And the reason they're searching is because the answers are there. The souls know that the light is there, the answers are there, and they're looking, where is it? And they're coming all over the place to Tzfat. And Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, who like Emor that's coming up, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the master of the secret, the master of Kabbalah, who wrote the Zohar was written in a very cryptic way. And the Zohar describes many things, it describes the worlds, and in a very general, very general, the most general you could get, God's name, Yud Kei Vav Kei. The Arik teaches us that these are parallel to 5 worlds, 5 stages that constantly exist in creation. Adam Kadmon, Atzilut, Bria, Yetzira, Asiya. These are 5 stages that are represented by the essence of God's name. The Kutz Shel Yud, the Yud has a Kutz, and the Yud Kei Vav Kei. And these are gates to understand magical and mystical and deep worlds of yourself, of Kabbalah, of Torah, of purpose. And really the purpose of this song was not to give answers, but more to arise questions. To drop like a Kabbalah bomb and just ask like for a bunch of like holy curiosity. People calling, what's Adam Kadmon? What's Atzilut? Good. These are good questions. I like that you're asking me these questions. So go ahead, open the books, start praying to Hashem and say, wow, how deep is life? How big is life?
Beautiful.
So yeah, the song came out with a lot of siyata dishmaya, a lot of help from Hashem, very talented musicians, and it ended up being a very fun experience. And
it looked like you were having fun.
We hope that, especially as Lag BaOmer is coming up, that really the holy curiosity in the souls is awakened and people go deeper in connecting to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and Kabbalah, and eventually bringing the light of the Geula, the redemption, to the world.
And I'll be sharing the video to the viewers so you can see for yourself. But I first connected with you because I learned at your father's yeshiva. Well, back in the day, are you still teaching? I mean, I remember saying to you, "Oh, please, let's learn something about music." Do you remember that?
So saying, there's many neshamas. Tzfat is like a traffic. The traffic here is unbelievable.
Right. And
the yeshiva, Baruch Hashem, is open. It's going strong. My father, he should live and be well in Mavi Islam, is weak now. And yeah, for the past over 10 years, I've been running the yeshiva, and many souls of today people that grew up in the religious world that are seeking connection. Mm-hmm. So there's religion and there's connection, which should be the same. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, in the galut, in the exile, sometimes we experience the separation, where some people hijack the religion and how some people hijack the spirituality, and we're doing some kind of effort to bridge them.
Wonderful. But it's not just the learning. I mean, one of the remarkable things about Mekarev, and I sent all my visitors there for Friday night, is your Friday night prayer. I mean, there is nothing that matches, in my opinion, the Karabach Friday night at Mekarev. And it's so special. The energy is beyond the Richter scale. And everybody it's like a bomb, really. It's like a spiritual bomb. And it's remarkable. How did you create that? Because it's so different from anything else that we've experienced even in Tzfat.
I didn't create it. I was kind of like put into it. When I came back to Tzfat, when I was a teenager, I was also myself searching and confused. When I came back to Tzfat, it was 2001. Right, I left New York 2 days before the World Trade Center, which is a whole separate story.
Wow.
And I came back here, and at that time, Hashem sent a very interesting neshama here. One of the Solomon brothers, neighbors of Shalom Karbach Hanan, he came here to Tzfat. He was my chavrusa for a couple of years, and he brought in like Reb Shlomo's neshama here. Today he himself lives in the Ashar. He doesn't play Karabach, but he's a Gevald. he started, and it's bigger. It's Mekarev is a magic, Tzfat's a magic, Reb Shlomo's a magic, Shabbos is a magic. So put all that magic together, it's like, come on. But in a deep way, it's interesting that you bring this up. The word tefillah, prayer, what does the word mean? The word means hitchabrut, connection. Tofel klei cheres in the Lashon of the Mishnah is a person that's connecting broken parts of vessels, connecting. So tefillah is connection. Connection of what? So that means there's worlds that were created as separate, and there's worlds that are created as whole, and man, who's created out of all those worlds together, also the broken and also the fixed, he could stand in front of the Creator and say, Creator of the world, you're presenting me with broken worlds, with missing worlds, and you're presenting me with full worlds and healed worlds. And I am the connector. I'm the only one that could ask you, the Creator of the world, to connect all your goodness that you're showing us in your, what's called Olam HaAtzilut, in the experience of your unity, and shine that into all your nivraim, notzarim, and nasim. Those bria, yetzira, asiyah. Those are the dimensions of the hiding. So the essence of tefillah, what tefillah means is connection. And I, the Adam, every Adam is standing. So Tzfat is all about that connection. And the time of Shabbat, the time that connects Shabbat in the week, the Kabbalat Shabbat, is the Kabbalah that came to bring that light into the world, meaning the light of this Shabbat into the 6 days. The time that it happens is Kabbalat Shabbat. So that time, I find that time in Tzfat is the most magical, because that's the deepest essence of what Tzfat is to reveal the light of the Geula, of Kabbalah, the unity of Hashem, which is Shabbos in the 6 days. And that transformational time, that's the time where we enter or exit, whatever, connect those dimensions. So that time is magical, the place is magical. So it's kind of like it just happens.
Amazing. Okay, so that's great. Let's go straight into the parasha.
Please.
So we start this parasha Emor with the instruction to the priests that they shouldn't contaminate themselves by even being in the same room as a dead person. And then the Alshed goes into a whole explanation about death and what happens at death that induces that transferring of impurity vis-a-vis a dead animal, which can only be transferred if you touch it as opposed to. So please explain to us, what is it about the human being that makes it so contagious to spiritual contamination when the soul leaves the world?
So if we look at Tumah and Tahara, purity and impurity, in a different words, we could look at it like life and death, mamash, where Kedusha or Tahara means life, and that's where we find the Kadosh Baruch Hu, who's Kadosh, he is the source of life, the source of giving, versus where we find death and end of life, which is well, that will be a result of Tumah, no life. There's no life, there's no giving here. So Am Yisrael in general, and all the Mefarshim, the beginning say like, what's the big deal with the Kohanim? Also Jews are Kedoshim, we just finished Parashat Kedoshim, we're all Kedoshim, why are you excluding the Kohanim? So the Kohanim clearly have to be on a higher level. It's, even within Am Yisrael, we have Kohen, Levi, and Yisrael, there's a hierarchy within us. Am Yisrael in general are called Mamlechet Kohanim V'Goy Kadosh. Our relationship to the world, like we're the Kohen of the world. But within us, there's also the Kohen. And the job of the Kohen, the mission of the Kohen is a connector. The Kohen, if Tum'ah is the absence of life, and Kedusha is the abundance of life. So the Kohen is a person who has more life than he needs for himself. He has life that the nation needs. He has the ability to connect the entire nation. And therefore they have to stay in a form of super life, always be connected to the life. Mina mikdash lo yatzeh. And even the Kohen Gadol, who's higher, he can't even leave the Bet HaMikdash for his 7 relatives. He's on a higher level of Kedusha. This is how the Creator made the world, that there's low worlds, high worlds, and middle. And it's the middle that connects, it's about the connection. That's the Adam that connects all the worlds. And the Kohen is the one that connects the pure godliness with the Jewish nation. And the Jewish nation are the Kohanim that connect the Torah to the entire 70 nations, which are like a body to a soul to them.
So there's a hierarchy of connection, of spiritual connection with God.
Correct. And so the answer is Tumah. So when that spirit leaves, it leaves a void. And the bigger, so to speak, the spirit is, the bigger the void is. And the bigger the void is, the bigger the access to the other side, because the spiritual worlds are created right and left, black and white. Everything is created equal. Zeh leumat zeh asa Elokim. And the Tum'ah is not really it's not a creation in its own right. The left is there to complement or to reveal the right. It's not a creation in its own need. So therefore, it's always chasing the kedusha, and where does it fulfill itself? Where the kedusha left, that's where the tumah goes in right away. And therefore, I see also it's with a person, even a person in his private life, people that suffer. Every one of us is going through nisyanot, trials in our life, spiritual trials, and sometimes you meet people that are going through very difficult times, very, very difficult. A lot of spiritual inside of them, a lot of traffic, a lot of ups and a lot of downs, and that's usually the sign of a greater soul, because the tum'ah will always go for where there's more food or more energy or more soul. And therefore the Kohanim, which are on a higher level, the more a person is on a higher level, they have to be more sensitive. The tum'ah, these spirits are following you. Their only source is you. So you have to be more cautious. So,
I mean, we don't see these negative spirits, right? We don't see them. But if you had glasses that would be able to see spiritual negativity, where would they be? Where are they coming from?
You're asking a great question. The Gemara in Brachot says that if we had the ability to see them, we would go nuts, because we would see that there's so much more than us. Each one of us has to his right 10,000. The Gemara says that they're around us, like a round, like a tree, and there's around the tree there's a fence. That's how they just surround the person. Absolutely. The spiritual world are tremendous, many, endless amount of spirits. Human could experience them. If it's some humans experience them in not controlled ways in their field, it's a disturbance to them. But the human that reaches them on the right level could reach them. There are real things. The last week's Parashat, Orach Chaim HaKadosh speaks about the demons, the Shedim in general, the spirits. That the human is made out of 4 elements. And the Creator made creation made out of 2 elements. Only wind and fire.
Only wind and fire.
Yeah, only earth. So the
earth and air.
Yeah, so some of them don't have water, and some of them, that's why they chase blood. Some. It's the last week's parasha. If you look at the Ramban, v'lo yizbechu l'seirim, over there when the mitzvah of korbanot, they said don't give your korbanot to the demons anymore, only to Hashem. So over there they explain like why the demons need blood and how does it work, and very interesting. In general, Am Yisrael, we're sensitive to these things. One of the things that we do the most is Netilat Yadayim. Wake up in the morning, right, left. Why do you wash your hands in this manner? Why water? Water is the chesed, it's the kindness of Hashem that removes these mazikim. The mazikim are all served midah din of judgment. They're there as manifesting certain parts of judgment. A person could only activate them through his sins. Meaning the essence of these mazikim, of any damage, is when the human form fails, then their form, so to speak, grabs, and then they cause damages. All the damages that you see in the world, everything that you see is a result of these spirits. So you don't see them, you see the results. You could see a person. When you see a person, you look at a body, but what's spirits in the body? So the Zohar Kodesh says, look at the actions. The actions will be the result of what the spirit is living here. If there's good actions coming out of this, then there's a good spirit living here. Because just looking at a body, you have no idea what's going on. It used to be that the Chachamim, they could look at the forehead, at the eyes, at the hair.
That's right, yeah.
Right. Today, the whole world is doing operations, changing themselves, what is it, Botox and this, and just meeting with all these operations, what's going on? So you're focusing on the upgrade of to make your outside beautiful. Well, after spending 5 minutes with the person, like, what's in there? So if you really want to make your inside beautiful, then that's a whole different topic.
So that's why I went to a healer once that she was washing her hands like so many times. It was like unbelievable. Like, how many times do you need to wash your hands? But she was adamant that it was,
So this format of right, left is effective for removing the spirit that rests on a person when they sleep. Meaning the spiritual world is vast. There's many, many things. And every spirit has the same way every creation has a personality and a character. This spirit, obviously when a person is sleeping, most of their soul is out, so they're experiencing a 60th of death, like the Gemara says, and therefore that spirit of death, the 60th of it connects to the person. And when they awaken, it goes just to the fingers, and it's removed only when you pour right, left. And in the Halakha and in the Gemara, it's spoken about, people that have fears, all kinds of fears, and they don't know why. And many of the reasons is because they don't wash their hands in B'tilat Yadayim. Because it's a spirit, and then you touch food, and then you touch this, and there's all kinds of, we're not sensitive today because of technology. We think that it's out there. There's worlds and worlds that we're ignoring by advancing into, these things exist.
So tell us a little bit about the process of passing to the next world, because this is something that's always fascinated me.
I wish I knew you're speaking
But you've presumably learned about it.
The Zohar speaks a lot about this.
Tell us a little bit, because there's a lot of interest out there about this whole matter, and it would be great to enlighten us a little bit.
I'll just say it as a opening statement that I think death is not a bad thing. It's a part of life, I would say. It's a continuation of life. And I think that the real fear is not dying. The real fear would be, if there's a fear, is meaningless living. Death is also life. Also, my birth was not the beginning. I was born into the middle. And my death is not the end. Life is going on. Like we have the privilege of being involved for as long as the Creator puts us here. So the same way a person doesn't come into the world just boom, 1 minute. There's a father, and there's a mother, and there's 3 days of the forming of the seed, and 40 days of the happening of the fetus, and then 9 months of pregnancy, and then a birth, and then development, and then until a person is 13, you become a gadol. Your neshama doesn't even enter you right away. Your nefesh, your ruach, your neshama, then your marriage, other parts of your spirit enter you. So it's a process. It's a deep. It's a cyclical process, and also death, meaning the ongoing of the soul through this journey into the next station, also has many processes. If we see the passing of a person, the levaya, funeral is very particular, many minhagim of what to do, and then the shiva, and then the shloshim, and then the year. So also the soul kind of like doesn't just drop into this experience, because coming down into this world is very, very heavy, very, very deep. It's very traumatic, extremely traumatic for the soul. The soul goes through thousands of worlds and minimizations, experiencing all the worlds till it enters the physical body of Basar V'Dam. When a person leaves, so how does a person leave? Interesting. The Gemara says there's 903 ways to die. Lamavet Totzaot, right? The Gemara Brachot. And that means that this experience of the spirit and the body parting, for now, till Tchiat HaMetim, there's many ways to experience it. There's beautiful ways, like Mitat Neshika, like the kiss of death. Which Mitat Neshika is described in the Gemara like pulling out a hair, like one hair from a cup of milk. Totally effortless and painful and painless and everything. But in a deep way, we're talking about this last week. How does a person die? So it's the way they live, because the decisions that we make during this life and the relationships that we make. The key word is relationships. The key word of this life is relationships. Everything is relationships. The relationships that we build during this life are infinite. If they're built with infinity, it means we have the ability to build. We're in an infinite relationship. And this body, this being in this place of hiding, what I am right now living in a flesh and blood, could only see with my eyes and hear with my ears, sense with my senses. It's a very minimizing experience for my infinite self, which is Chelek Elohai Ma'alomash. Why? All this is Yeridat Tzorech Aliyah. I must experience this finite, this low dimension, and experience godliness here in the hiding to build a relationship with Him. There's no way I could build a relationship with Him if He's right there.
Why? Why not?
Why? Because if there's no free choice, then it's obvious. If, for example, there's relationships that are given and there's relationships that are created. For example, a brother and sister. Wonderful relationship. You could love your sister, love your brother. Nothing will ever come out of it. There'll be no kids. There's no continuation to that relationship. It's a given. This is how God made you guys. Husband and wife, never met each other, travel the world, he's there, she's there. One day they meet each other, boom, so much love, so much connection. This is infinite. This is infinite. From here they'll be killed, from here they'll be Shekhinah, over here is God. The neshama, before it comes into the world, has a deen, many of a daughter to a father. Great relationship, so much love. The king and the princess, so much love. But it's stagnant. The neshama is what it is. It comes into the world, into this hidden dimension to experience hiding. Meaning, we are not right now physical beings experiencing spirituality. The opposite, we're spiritual beings experiencing physical. That's the experience, and we're allowed to accept it. Why are we in the physical and the hiding? To pursue this relationship, creator of the world. I want a relationship with you. And therefore the relationship that we have is a relationship that I made, I chose.
Yes, that's certainly true. And there's a difference in the quality in the relationship that you choose, the ones that you're imposed on.
Definitely. So that's the soul being in this far, 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 far place. Meaning this physical dimension is the furthest place from the truth of the Creator. Because what does it mean, far? I mean, He's everywhere. But me being in the illusion of ego, that I am I, is the furthest thing that exists from the truth, because I'm not I. There's a Creator. How can I think that I'm an I? I'm put in such a far experience that I could have an ego, I could have an illusion, I could have a name. Why? So I could make a relationship through that.
Amazing.
So leaving this relationship is so interesting. And interesting that the kids, when a person leaves, say Kaddish. And Kaddish has nothing to do with the deceased. Nothing. Kaddish is a tremendous prayer that we get together and pray, Creator of the world, come back to the world. Make your name great again. Appear in the creation. That's the whole Kaddish. Nothing to do with Shiva and passing and souls. Nothing, not one word. Why? Because while the soul of this person was in this world, they were shining God's light. They were doing what they... So our army, the army of Am Yisrael, had many soldiers shining the light. We're doing good. Now one of the soldiers passes. So who's going to... This soldier had a particular light. Every soul has a particular revelation and goodness and beauty and godliness that is shining to the world. Who is going to do this now? So Hashem says, they're kids. They're going to stand up and they're going to continue to shine that godliness. You continue, hold a torch. Remember, your father's torch wasn't his. He got it from Avraham Avinu. And yours is not yours. This is still Mashiach. So this is the neshamot as they come and they leave through this dimension. We're here to glorify Hashem, to make relationships with Him, to advertise the kingship of Hashem in the world. And when a soul leaves, so they go into this package breaks. So the four elements that were in this physical, the body, the container that I'm in, which is afar atav afar tashuv, this came from the dirt, and we'll go back to the dirt. Meaning the soul cannot continue on its journey And every soul is on a journey till the relationships are sorted out. So you just came from one stage of a relationship. Oh, you are in a body now for this and these years. This was your stage. The body has to return to its elements, must. And then the spirits, also the spirit. Each spirit, the spirit of a person is not one level. The mitzvot that you did in action, they will get you into Gan Eden Tachton. Then the mitzvot are really divided into 3 dimensions that we're in, because we are from Atzilut. We represent the unity of God. Chelek Elohim Imal Mamash. We're godliness, and we're going into the hidden worlds, Bria, Yetzira, Asiya. And in there, we have, in this experience, we have an essence, and I have 3 dimensions surrounding me: my thought, my speech, my actions. Those are this is my miniature world experience right now. So through the mitzvot, that means the godly actions that I did, so my nefesh, the part that did them, goes into Gan Eden Tachton. And then the ruach, through the mitzvot that I did with the speech, goes into a higher level of Gan Eden. And then Gan Eden Elyon, Gan Eden Elyon is the Gan Eden that a person gets based on their thoughts. Meaning a person himself, even though we do mitzvot and we say them, though the action and the speech are considered external to the thought and the intention that are considered internal and higher. So all of our positive and holy thoughts and missing God and wanting Him and kavanot and tefillah and all the intentions we had in mitzvot and everything, those are bring the soul to the axis to appreciate godliness in Gan Eden Elyon. But the actions get you to appreciate and connect to godliness in Gan Eden Tachton. And if a person did what they should be doing, then they reached their place of rest. If a person didn't, if a person came to the physical experience and got too caught up in the physical and the here and now and the me and the ego, which is the enemy, being caught in the me, not in the experience. So therefore, the Creator says, I love you so much, you're going to go back. I'm going to send you back. Go back again. Go back again. It's so painful to come back into this world. Rav Nachman Nebrasov told the student Rav Nassan, he says, listen, after 120, when you get to the high worlds, sometimes in the court, they give a person a choice. He says, take any level of hell. Don't come back here.
Oh boy.
Don't come back here. Because this world is very scary. Very far, very scary. Even Gehenom, the Sfarim that speak about Gehenom is the souls in Gehenom, even though they're suffering, it's a suffering of purification. They know that it's purifying them. It's not like horrible. It's horrible, but it's
for a purpose.
It's purposeful, yeah.
So the fun, fascinating thing that Avshi said was that as opposed to any other creature that God created, the human being was never meant to die. We were created to live forever, and therefore, when we do pass away, there's some sort of element of the nefesh that is staying. We were created initially to live forever. As a result of the sin, the whole idea of having impurity injected into us, and then the Ashra says that we were from Avram to Matan Torah, we were purified in gradual stages of that impurity, and then we come to the point where we're living again forever again until the Chet Egel, and then we go back down again. So this idea, I was fascinated by the idea that we were designed, if you think about a design, we were designed to live forever, and that the fact that we don't is a default. I just wanted to understand that a bit more clearly.
My understanding of this is that the time and the timelessness are both existing all the time. The finite and the infinity both exist. The Creator definitely includes the finite, and he includes meaning the timeless includes the time also, clear. That means that if you could imagine that all these levels exist, and you're created on one level, now you also exist on that level. It doesn't mean that the godly design is faultless. That's how it is. The human being is infinite. We're experiencing finite. We're experiencing also the dimension of time. We're also experiencing the dimension of being under time and dying. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's not that one's instead of the other.
Yeah.
And therefore, our da me'ayin bata ve'le'an ata olech. We come from the ayin and we're going to the an, which is also ayin. Right. This experience right now is in between. But I think the real answer to your question is that we never die.
Mm-hmm.
That's the real answer to your question. That the you never dies, meaning the experience that you're experiencing. Right now, you're so intertwined in your body that you think you're your body.
Right.
So, if my body dies, then I die. But when your body dies, you're just going to realize, wait, then what's me that's alive? Hey, good morning, me.
Right.
That's really what it is. So, we're experiencing also the level of Tuma, also the level of death, also the level of under the Zman. We're also above and also under.
So let's focus a little bit about towards the end of the Parsha, let's talk about the Moed, and this whole idea of Moedim festivals is a way for us to connect with God. I mean, we come here, as you said at the beginning, to connect with God. That's the ultimate objective. But we have the Shabbat to do that. Every single week we have a Shabbat to do precisely that. What is it that the Moed, the festival, gives us that the Shabbat didn't give us already?
That's a fantastic question. And the truth is that the Shabbat is higher than all the Moedim and includes all the Moedim. Because the Shabbat symbolizes the perfection of the cycle of 7. And the Moedim are also a cycle of 7, just on a global, on a year. One is a week and one is a year.
Right.
So in Kabbalah, they're both, meaning every Sunday is Chesed and Monday is Gvura and Tuesday is Tiferet. So Pesach, Shavuot, Sukkot are parallel. So in the week, we're dealing more with a microcosmic, meaning the Sfirot on a microcosm. Our godliness is revealed in a more microcosmic way, like a week. And the year, there's the work of the year. So that means that if during the week we have one work, when the work of the Chag comes, it's so big that it pushes away. Therefore, the Shabbat that comes out in Chol HaMoed Sukkot, we read Sukkot or Pesach. The Pesach, the Chag is bigger. So it means they're both really the same idea. The idea is to be in the 6 and to aspire and to reach the 7. To be in the physical, in Bria, Yetzirah, Asiyah, in the hidden dimensions, and to go back to Atzilut. It's just done in many, many ways. So there's our weekly cycle, and then there's the national cosmic yearly cycle, where as a nation, if you imagine today, we don't have a national sense. We're so broken in Galut, we're so individualized. What do we have? We have a minyan. 10 people come to shul, you have the Shekhinah. But imagine back in the day, imagine 3 times a year, where as a nation, we went up to Beit HaMikdash.
All of us.
Imagine the feeling of being in Yerushalayim, Erev Pesach, with the entire nation. There's millions of korbanot. You're like, you're in a smoker. Everyone's singing Hallel. We can't imagine this. This is not something that you need to prove. You're experiencing godliness. So that means that the human being, even though we're meant to experience godliness on a private level, that's symbolized by the week, or even a bigger level, which is the month. This is another level, which is a month is a different discussion. There's another experience as a nation. Our national tikkun is connected to the year, to the Shana, and that's with the Aliyah L'Regalim. That's when we focus on the Chagim. And the focus on the Chagim, like we said, takes over the whole focus of the week. So on Pesach, the entire nation focuses on Chesed, on understanding correct love. And correct love is the love of the Creator to His creation, that no matter what level the creation is in, we could be in Mitzrayim and Mitzrayim and restrictions, we could be fallen. This love is above, it's beyond, it's essential, it's promised, it's primal. And we celebrate this. We celebrate this treatment as a nation. Then we celebrate in Matan Torah. Matan Torah is in the time that we're in now, Sfirat HaOmer, which is also the awaiting for the Torah, for us to become a nation with the Torah, with a connection to Hashem. Sukkot is already higher. So Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot, you could look at it like in the year, like the development of a person. Where Pesach, we're immature, we're young, the nation is born. Then we prepare ourselves in these 7 weeks, which is like a wife preparing herself for her husband, the 7 days of Nidah, this is bigger, so it's 7 weeks. In the sense of weeks, and then we reach the 50th gate, which is the Shar Chamishim, and that's when the Creator totally shows His love to us, and that's like our bar mitzvah. That's when we read the Torah. That's when we become a man. That's when we become, And then we have Zman Simchatenu, we have the Sukkot. So the first are parallel to Abraham and Yitzchak, which Abraham was the beginning stages of our nation.
Right.
Yitzchak is the more unfolding already. Then Yaakov, which is like a house, he's called a bayit, and now we're building a sukkah, and now it's Zman Simchatenu, and now we're bringing 70 cows to support the 70 nations and to bless them. Now we're already mature and developed, and that symbolizes in a national way, meaning it's important for a person to understand their perfection as a person, like I want to be a better person, but that's also minimum. It's primal. The bigger thing is to understand that we're a nation. We're a nation. The enemy, so to speak, of that national feeling of the Ahavat Israel, of Ahavta l'Arecha Kamocha. What's the enemy? Why can't I love another Jew? There's only one reason why. It's because I love myself. To start seeing ourselves as a nation, as a people, as a Geulah, as a redemption that we together are experiencing, and together bringing godliness into the whole creation. This is more the light of the Moadim, which is very important for us to focus on, because like I said, today we don't have that national feeling so much.
Right. I mean, I was going to ask you, if you were to rate the Jewish people today in terms of their role as being a light to the nation, what would you give them out of 10? What would you give us out of 10 as a nation?
I think that like in every relationship there's two ways. I think there's the light and there's the nations. And I think that the world, also the light and also the nations, are experiencing identity issues.
Right.
Where a lot of the light thinks they're the nation, and a lot of the nation thinks they're the light. So we're definitely at a time where there's a lot of spirituality out there that's not light. There's a lot of confusion. You know, the Navi in Amos Perek Chet, Hinei Anochi Sholach, it says there's 10 famines that are coming into the world. The Midrash says, but the 10th famine, Hinei Anochi Sholach Al Ba'aretz, Hashem says, I'm going to cast a famine in the world. Lo ra'av la'lechem v'lo tzama la'mayim. Not a famine for physicality, for bread, for water. Kim lishma divrei Hashem, a spiritual famine of essence, of meaning. And that's what we're in today. We're the people of the light are searching for light, also to be light, because of their light. The world is tremendously searching for light. I think that your question is better than any answer, and I think that your question should be asked by every person towards himself, saying, am I the best light that I could be? And let it be that the answer should be, I'm going to try better.
Amen.
I'm going to try better. I'm going to try to be more light and be nicer and kinder and do Kiddush Hashem. Being a light to the nation, people look at it as being like a very, international cosmic concept. But I think it's very important to start at home.
I agree.
I don't think a person can be a light to his nation if he's not a light to his wife and kids. And I think your nation is very close, and I think that it's today's call to be sensitive and nice and kind to the people that are in our circle, and to invest in those relationships and appreciate the godliness that's put in our first circle, and realize that God doesn't make mistakes, and the godliness that we need is close to us. Definitely we want to experience everything, even the most far. You're right. But the truth is that if you want it to be real, then build it from the core, and you'll shine. You'll heal the whole world.
So we'll come to the end of our podcast, unfortunately. I could go on for a lot longer, but just one more question. Imagine a Jew, you said you come down here to the darkest of all the worlds so that we can have the free will to choose to connect with God. Imagine a Jew in the middle of, in America, no Jewish community of great spiritual rising. And what advice would you give that Jew who knows in his soul that he wants to connect, but maybe the tools aren't so readily available? What one thing could you recommend that would open the doors for that connection with him and God?
a person is experiencing any will or any thoughts of a relationship with God, he's already in a relationship with God. He's already deep in a relationship. Many of the nicest lights of the world don't even know that they're lights. They're confused and lost in places in the world, and sometimes late at night they're lying in bed and they're thinking, where am I in the world? Where am I? Who am I? This is what life is about. It's so interesting you're asking this advice, but I would say I'm not a Breslover Chassid, meaning officially, but the answer would be to do whatever you can to connect to Rav Nachman of Breslov. Because if you're in that position, then I'm here in Tzfat, I can't help you. But I know someone that made it his business to extend himself to every single Jew and every single time and to give him healing. I know tens of thousands of people that he healed personally. Wow. So I recommend learning about him, getting his literature. That's his target, many of it, but his target is light that's in darkness. It's our souls today that are living in opposite, in darkness. That's where he wrote his songs, that's where he wrote his Torahs, that's where he wrote his stories, those were his people. Even though he lived at a time where Chassidut was very, very strong, he didn't focus on the strong Chassidim around him. He focused on the people that are going to live before Mashiach, telling them, be strong, brother, and I have a way to keep you alive and to awaken you. So, yeah, Google him, find him, read about him, and his real essence, his real message is that you're so close. If you just go out and look up to the heaven and say, Creator of the world, I'm yours, and I want a relationship with you. Creator, I'm your creation, and I want a relationship with you. Things will open up.
So couch that in the form of a blessing to our audience. What blessing would you give us?
My blessing to your audience, first of all, is that you're already blessed. If you're receiving Torah from this place, and I inspire you to come visit, it's not the same. Tzfat, Al-Sheikh, you're connected to a source of life. You're making good decisions that brought you here. May you continue to make good decisions. May Hashem bring in your path many, many beautiful people that will answer all your questions and give your deeper questions and really help you live a meaningful and fulfilled life.
Amen, amen, and amen. And come and see in this beautiful synagogue, Mekarev. Definitely a go-to when you come to Tzfat. And look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you.